All right. Where do we get all these great people from? All the smile. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Chuck Roberts, and I'm the Executive Vice President for the Advisory Board for the Metro New York chapter of the National Black MBAs. And again, welcome. I'm glad you took time tonight to spend a couple of minutes with us to look at your resume from a different perspective, to give it a new sense of breadth and warmth that you're going to want to have when you go to the premium virtual career fair tomorrow that starts at 11 o'clock. And hopefully all of you will be joining us. And even if you don't use it for tomorrow's session, at least you'll have it right for future opportunities. I want to thank all the people that are attending tonight, plus all the people that come together every 3 months to make this particular session happen. Our guest speaker tonight has done this with us, my God, for maybe 5 or 6 years, working on presentation skills and resume development. She has a background in HR. Actually, is an HR manager with one of the largest hospital chains here in the New York area. And we thank her for giving us her free time to come help us out, giving you guys an edge on what you're going to be going through over the next couple of days, starting tomorrow. Let me thank Marvin Vasquez and his team for putting this particular program together. His team is MMUSA, and all the leadership people, such as Norville Barrington and Alicia Scuggs and Vina Morris, leadership team for our chapter, for supporting us to make this happen. Okay, let me shut up and move ahead because we're going to try and cram a whole lot of time, a whole lot of activity within the next hour and 10 to 15 minutes. Before I bring in Gisela Belinfante, we're going to play a quick video, talk about her company and what they're capable of doing for you. And actually, it'll take a couple minutes to let more people could join us because some people do run a little late on the program. So let me go now. Marvin, I believe you can put the video up right now and let it run, and we'll see how that works. And thank you, everyone. And send Gisela a note, too. Tell her thank you for her time that we've done tonight. She'll appreciate that.
Gisela, you can share the video if you want, or you could do it in a minute.
Yes. Play the video. Thank you.
So actually, I'm going to play that video a little later. So I figured I'd just jump in. Hi, everyone.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Gisela.
You're
Again,
welcome.
let me introduce Gisela Belinfante and Resume 2 Next Level. Thank you so much, Gisela.
You're welcome. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you for joining Resume 2.0 Next Level. My name is Gisela Belinfante. I am the CEO of Resume Journeys. I'm also the owner of Belling's Catering. And as Chuck mentioned, I have an enormous amount of experience within hospitality and human resources. Just to give you some insight, I do enjoy not helping individuals only, but enabling individuals to get to their next career journey. Resume Journeys has been around for quite some time, and it was developed so that we will be able to help individuals guide them on their path, right? Your resume is the most important thing, as it's the passport to success. And it's the first thing and the first step in order to obtaining that position and being on path for your career. Please take a snapshot of all of that information on the slide. I'm easily accessible at email, website. A lot of you guys that have Instagram, if you have Instagram, definitely pull out your Instagram right now, log in, type it Resume Journeys and follow. And let's get started. And real quick, I just want to let everyone know, there are LinkedIn. I know we're streaming on a lot of platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook. Please feel free to ask questions. I'll try to answer them as much as I can throughout the presentation. And then at the end, when we have Q&A, I'll conclude and answer additional questions. So let's get started. So one thing I want to mention, this is going to be interactive. So thank you guys for putting your name, your Zoom name. I see everyone's name. I definitely want this to be interactive. There's no wrong answer except an answer that's not asked. So I want you guys to feel free to ask questions, even if it's one of those questions that it's like, maybe I shouldn't answer, maybe I shouldn't ask it. Please definitely ask. Takeaways from Resume Journey 2.0 is to ensure that you write down all the questions that you want answered by the end of this presentation, right? And then hopefully you guys all have your resumes in front of you. Following along, being able to make edits on your resume in front of you makes it a little bit more easier. Or if not, just make sure you have a notepad, or if you want to take pictures, that's fine as well. So why Resume Journeys? Like Chuck said, I've partnered with the National Black MBA for just about 5 years. As you guys can see, I've done more than a handful of workshops. And I also do workshops for other organizations, for colleges, schools, private sectors. So I definitely am big on giving back. I remember for myself, before I got my career started, I was always looking for that individual to give me an opportunity. And I realized that at times that was hard, right? I really didn't have too much direction or know, is my resume something that I really need to spend time on? Or is it something that I can probably just copy and paste, add in information and kind of be on my way? I definitely learned quickly that was not it. And I had to, study the craft. I then became a leader in multiple areas. And as a hiring leader now, I see resumes on a consistent basis. So it does give me a lot of insight as to what we're looking for. I've spoken to many of colleagues, many of C-suite executives, AVPs, managers, directors on kind of like pet peeves and what they're looking for, trends. So I definitely want to bring that forward to you guys. And then also what I consider to be the secrets, right? What are the secrets behind the applicant tracking? What are the secrets behind why I'm not receiving a call back? Something's wrong, right? So Resume Journeys is definitely going to help you on your path to success. And as you can see, this is the last one for this year, and we'll be featured in the new one for 2024, which I can't wait because I have so much to tell you guys for 2024, but I can't give you all the good stuff yet. So the agenda is definitely full. Like Chuck said, we're gonna basically cram everything into almost an hour. So definitely try to make sure that you write down everything and you ask as much as you can. This agenda is just looking up here. Why is your resume important? Back to the basics. How to make your resume stand out. How to make your resume to the next level, right? Get to the next level. How to pivot from your career path on a resume. Is it the look or the content of your resume? How to prepare and arrive for your virtual interview, common errors to avoid on resumes, and then we'll do Q&A. So lots of information, and there's even some freebies in there that are not even listed on the agenda. So first, let's get started. Why is your resume important, right? Why is your resume important? And again, this is definitely going to be interactive. I'm just opening up the chat so I can have you guys in front of me as I'm talking. Why is your resume important? So when I talk about your resume and its importance, the first thing I always tell everyone is, you're always going to hear me say this. Your resume is your passport to success. Remember that. It's not a slogan. It's just what it is. It is. It's the passport to your success. It matches you to the position of interest. It's the first thing in order to get through that door, right? Self-branding and creating your own personal brand, right? It sets the course of an interview. It attracts the attention of your potential employers. So let's just go back a little bit. Self-branding, I want to talk about that. It's really important now, not just now in 2023 or even us going into 2024, just as a blank statement. It's really important to create your personal brand. That's your unique brand, your unique identifier, right? And you can do that through your resume. When we talk about setting the course of an interview, guess what? That's the first impression, right? That's the first impression that reader, the hiring leader, is going to have, right? And we always talk about how first impressions are really important. Attracts the attention of your potential employer. How do we do that? We do that by ensuring that we have well-structured context and that it looks appealing. Resumes can be boring if you really think about it. I don't know if that's something that anyone ever said, you know what, my resume is kind of boring. Does anybody think that resumes are boring? Is it something that's supposed to be exciting? What's your views on how your resume should actually look? And you guys can, feel free to put it in the chat while we're talking and discussing. But is a resume actually supposed to be simplified? Or is it supposed to be something that catches the attention of the reader? So as we talk about back to the basics, I always say this is my favorite slide because it's almost like resume 101. And when I've done a lot of presentations, everybody says, Giselle, why do you go backwards? I have to go backwards because you have to go back to that foundation of the resume. We can't get to the cookies, the ice cream, the granular stuff, the nuts, the bolts. We can't get to anything until we go back to the basics. So in today's competitive market of professional jobs, as it says, right? A resume is usually a base requirement for moving forward in the interview process, which is true. Your font style and size must be consistent. So those of you that do have your resumes in front of you, the font style and the size, is that consistent on your resume currently? You guys can put just yes, not sure, have to check in the chat. Definitely drop that in the chat. Okay, guys, keep them coming. Is the font style and size consistent on your resume? Okay, and as you guys are answering, the next one is black font is preferred. So when we talk about colors on a resume, when you think about, do you want your resume to have colors on it? Should it be simplified to just black? Should it be blue? Black font is preferred, right? When we're writing a resume. When you have on the top of your resume, your email address, if you notice when you use Word and you hit enter after the last letter of your email address, it's going to turn blue. The underline of the email will turn blue. That's fine. I've received resumes that have numerous sorts of colors. I've seen orange, I've seen a little light gray, kind of hard to read, but the consistent color should really be black. I know some of you guys, I'm looking in the chat, that use blue. As long as that blue is dark blue, that's fine. I wouldn't use like a sky blue or a teal blue. You want to make sure that it is a consistent color and one that's not too alarming. Contact information must be up to date. Cell number and email address. I'm gonna just spend 2 minutes on this one because it's so important. Individuals receive resumes every day, And one of the biggest things and the feedback that is received is that although your contact information is up to date, when that call comes, guess what? They cannot reach you. Why? Why do you think they can't reach you? Right? You have all of your contact information up to date, right? You got your cell number on there, you got your email address. Does anybody know why they can't reach you in the chat? So if your contact information is accurate, you're looking at your resume, those that have your resume in front of you, why would that be hard for a hiring leader to reach you? Possibly one suggestion could be the mailbox is full, right? I'm looking at the chat, so I'm just gonna pivot a little bit. Contact details not updated. You don't answer unknown numbers. Yes, mailbox is full, no voicemail. Spam. So yes, all of these are really important nowadays. We know that we get what's called the robocalls. You're gonna continue to probably receive numbers on your cellular phone where you do not know who's calling, right? So although your contact information is up to date, you wanna make sure, one, that your mailbox is not full. When as a hiring leader and I'm looking at resumes, one of the biggest pet peeves is when I call and I'm really excited. I looked at your resume, you're a star. I definitely want to meet you. I want to get to know a little bit more. And I get disappointed when the voicemail box is full. So you want to make sure that your cell phone number, yes, is accurate and not missing that last digit at the end. And also that email address is not uncomfortable to read, right? So we want to make sure that email address is not uncomfortable. Add your LinkedIn URL. I think that's a no-brainer, but I know sometimes that when we're looking at our resumes, we might not have a LinkedIn URL. Is that okay? Yeah, it is. It's not mandatory, right? It's not one of those mandatory, you have to have LinkedIn, you have to add it. It is a preference, right? And you're gonna hear me talk about that a lot, especially, as we go through this presentation. So add in your LinkedIn URL. It's great to have it if you do. If you do not, it's okay. If you're in the process of starting your LinkedIn, that's great as well. Spelling and grammar accuracy, really important. I want to say it was last week Thursday. I had to just remember last week Thursday. I was speaking to a colleague of mine. He's a VP for an organization. He reached out to me and he said, Giselle, I interviewed 2 candidates and the other candidate I didn't interview. I said, hey, Brett, I can say his name. I said, hey, Brett, why? What was the issue? He says, let me send that over to you. So they sent over the resume. I looked at it and I saw a lot of grammatical errors on the resume. So you have to make sure the spelling and grammar is accurate. Yes, we can use spell check on Word if we're using Word, but you just want to make sure that even though you're spell checking and you're using the spell check on Word, that's the exact word that you actually want to use, right? Because if it's correcting the word, that necessarily might not be the actual word that you might want to use. So you just want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to check your resume spelling and grammar. Month and year of employment must be in sequence. You want to make sure that it stays consistent and is chronological. Your education must be listed. Pending graduates still can include GPA. It's not required, but if you want to include it, it's fine. We still continue to see that on a daily basis. You do not have to put the year of your graduation, blanket statement. If you went to any type of a university, you do not have to put the year that you graduated. Once you are going through the applicant tracking system online, it's going to ask you to enter that information. So you do not have to put that specifically on your resume, right? And I know some concerns are it might tell my age, I don't want to put that on there, or, you know, frankly, they just don't want to put the year that they graduated, right? And that's fine. You want to make sure that you're using a lot of metrics to describe the scope of your work. Metrics are important. Some resumes, when we look at them, might not have that. Not to say it's a deal breaker, but when we talk about next level 2.0, the more metrics that you have that you're able to describe the scope of your work, the better, right? Like some examples that I have there. When you're a leader, right? You supervise how many employees? It can be 5, 2, 20, 30, 40, right? A project that you completed, right? A 10K project. Just use metrics. Metrics definitely enhance and takes your resume to the next level. Experience should not be more than 10 years. If the skill is relatable to a past job, you must reconfigure and minimize in resume. So basically, in a nutshell, because I always get questions about this, employers only go back up to 10 years. So if you're putting something on there that you did in, like, let's say 20 years ago, right? Just an example. Let's just say you did a long time ago. It's not relevant, then don't include it on your resume. Remember, everything that you put on your resume, once you do get that acceptance letter, that offer for the job, and you accept the job, they are going to do what's called a very thorough background check, right? My current organization does that. The prior organization that I was does that. It's very extensive. They go through your background like a fine-tooth comb, right? So even if you were even if you were, you know, it wasn't something relevant, once you put it down on your resume, it's fair game, and they're gonna go and check into that. So your experience really should be tailored to 10 years. I know there's other questions that you guys might have, like what if I'm, you know, which I'll get further down the line, if I want to pivot, right? I want to pivot. I want to change my career, Giselle. I want to do something completely different, left field. That's fine. But there's a way that you can craft that on the resume and minimize it so that it does not take up kind of like the whole basis of your resume, right? Length of your resume, subjective. Subjective. Remember, I said that subjective. No one should ever tell you, remember this, no one should ever tell you that your resume has to be 1 page. It has to be 2 pages. It has to be 3, 4, 5. It is subjective based on your experience. Okay, just remember that. I don't want you guys to focus too much on the length of your resume. The only pet peeve and disclosure I will throw in there is when you go for that interview, remember Giselle said this, do not staple your resume. Leave your resume loose if you do have 2 or more pages, okay? Don't take that stapler, right? Don't take that stapler and staple the resume. You wanna make sure that you leave it loose. So don't go like, okay, let me get staple happy. Let's say I have 4 pages, I have 2 pages, I want it to be neat. I'm just gonna go ahead here, just gonna start stapling. Do not staple, leave it blank, okay? Bilingual skills, if applicable, the computer skills should always be there. I mean, right now, the job market is hard because of a lot of selected positions that do require bilingual language speaking individuals. So even if you have a bilingual skill, and let's say that you're maybe intermediate or advanced, you definitely want to list that, okay? How to make your resume stand out. Develop a professional summary. That professional summary on your resume is the most powerful thing on your resume. Yes, you have your experiences. Yes, you have your education. You're doing everything right. But that summary is the sales pitch. Chuck will tell you that at the end when you guys go to that career fair tomorrow. That summary is your sales pitch. It's the elevator pitch. So you definitely have to develop that and sell yourself. Not like you're selling a car, right? But you want to make a good pitch in that professional summary. If you have objective on your resume right now, I don't have my red pen, I actually have pink for some reason today, cross that out. I want you to change the wording that says objective, and I want you to change that into professional summary. If you don't want to have it as professional summary, you can leave it as summary, but you just want to make sure that you remove the word objective. Tailor your resume to fit the job. If you're looking at the job description, you want to make sure that your experience aligns with that job description. Do not just copy the exact job description, right? Because when the hiring leader gets that, and I've seen that, by the way, I've looked at a resume and I'm like, isn't this the same posting that I posted? It looks very similar. You want to make sure that you don't copy word for word, right? Highlight all your core competencies, include LinkedIn if you choose to, like we spoke about before. Utilize the right context of words. I always say, if I don't understand it, that probably means you don't understand it. I do not understand it, doesn't make any sense. Why is this word being used as an adjective or an adverb to describe a specific skill set? I'm confused, right? So make sure that you use the correct context, right, of the word. And gaps in employment, I get that all the time. You know, individuals always say, hey, Giselle, what do I do if I have a gap in employment? Guess what? It's okay. It's okay to have a gap in employment. We've been through a lot within the last 3 years, as you guys know. It's understandable. It is acceptable. You just have to make sure that if you do have a gap in employment, you craft it to reflect, right? We could talk a little bit more about that if you want info offline. Full-time parent, maternity leave, taking care, of, whatever personal issues that you might have to take care of. Sorry. So the biggest thing, right? When we talk about how to take your resume to the next level, this is huge, right? I want you guys to make sure that this is like the potato and everything else, if that makes sense. How to take your resume to the next level. Utilize a resume builder, okay? You could utilize a resume builder online for free. You could reach out to me, Resume Journeys. I have my own resumes templates that I've built and I've crafted that I use when individuals come to me. I have it as far as, the modern day resumes to, old school resume templates, but you want to make sure that you utilize a resume builder. You can go on career builders, you can go on AI, you can do, whatever you feel comfortable, but you got to utilize a resume builder. I also want you guys to remove non-relevant positions. I'm stressing that again because if it's not relevant to what you're looking for, it does not make sense to have on your resume, okay? Add descriptive skill sets. Well, we'll talk about that as we go through the presentation. Your skill set shouldn't just be, for example, time management by itself. That's it. How do we utilize time management, right? I want those skill sets to be a little bit more descriptive. So an example is not just going to be like a one-liner. You want to make sure that you add a little bit more context into those skill sets. A lot of people do have that. I've seen that, but you want to make sure that you're catching the attention of the reader. We're not getting bored when we look at it, right? And then again, an impactful career summary statement, like I said, not a sleazy car salesman, but you got to sell it. Because I know for me, when I'm looking at resumes, which we look at quite a lot, right? Depending on the position, right? And you guys that have LinkedIn, tell me in the chat, when you guys have LinkedIn, if you have the premium service, I believe, you guys keep me honest, let me know. If you have the premium service, it tells you how many applicants are there. Has anyone seen that? I'm just gonna, throw that question out there in the chat. Those of you that have LinkedIn, which I'm sure on this chat, a lot of you guys have LinkedIn, right? Throw that in the chat. If you have premium, do you guys see that? I'm seeing a lot of yeses come through, yes. So it says how many applicants. I've seen where it said 327 applicants. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm not applying. Can't do it, Giselle, right? It's a little bit intimidating when you see that. It's like, wait a second, 327 applicants. Again, impactful career summary statement. When you think about how you're gonna sell that, you're gonna think about it like this. Why should I wanna look and hire this individual? Why should I hire you? Why should I consider giving you that opportunity by giving you a call and having you come and interview with me? It starts from that summary statement. I want to know who you are, right? So here's some examples, right? You guys got your resumes in front of you. And a lot of these slides came from a lot of questions that I've been asked. So that's why I'm kind of just trying to cover. If there's more stuff, again, we'll talk about that at the end. But work experience description, example. What do you guys think about in this chat as we look at that real quick, right? You guys that are looking at it, if you're looking at your phone, I need you to zoom in because I want you guys to see it on your cell phone. If you guys on the computer, tell me what you guys think about this work experience description. In the chat, I just need you to tell me if it's good to go. You guys can say good to go. Yes, it looks fine. I like it. I don't like it. What's your thoughts? Does it look okay? Okay. Is it confusing? Not sure. I'm a little scared to say on the chat. I don't want anybody to think that I'm giving the wrong answer, which is no such thing as a wrong answer. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. So do you guys want to go to the next one, the revised one, based off of the comments that you guys gave me? So this one says, I'll just read it out, right? Analyze CRM data used to grow revenues by 20% in 2021, right? Just an example, just threw it out there. I know we're in 2023, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Now I want you to see the revised experience, right? Because a lot of you guys in the chat said, it's a little bit confusing. I think they should write out what CRM is. It's not compelling enough. Expound on the data. Confusing, but it does have the metrics and scope. Yes, somebody's paying attention. That's what we talked about earlier, right? It's not compelling enough. The use of percentages is good. Looks good. For me, it's a little bit confusing, right? And analyze is not enough. Let's go to the revised one. What do you guys think about this one? What do you guys think about the revised? Okay. Compared to what we just saw. Okay. So a lot of you guys are on the same consensus as to it's better, right? You identified the same issue, or should I say you identified the same phrase, we captured it, but it looks different, right? We added a little bit more. And yes, to your point, hold on, let me just go back. To your point, Yasmin had mentioned, it's longer, but it's much more compelling, right? Shamir says, I think it looks good. Georgette, it gives a lot of nice detail. Listen, even this one that's revised, you can still revise it again, right? You can still talk about CRM, because if I'm the reader, I don't know what CRM is. What is that? Let's just say I don't know what CRM is, right? So it's still an opportunity to revise. I kind of wanted to just give you a little bit of context. So when you're looking at your resume, you'll be able to follow along and look at your work experience description and see what you can change. Is it too simplified? Do I need to enhance it, right? Definitely more impactful. The impact is more evident. As far as, how much length of your experience should be, there was an old phrase that, individuals used to say that, your description of your responsibility should never be a one-liner, but it depends, right? It depends on how the context of that sentence flows. You can have an impactful one-sentence bullet point and it'd be great. You can also have one that's 2 or 3 or 4 sentences long. It really depends on how you want to describe the wording that you're using and what you're trying to target. Common errors to avoid on resumes, my favorite. We talked about this. Grammatical errors, 68%. That's a little high. I was hoping it said 20%. No. 68% of resumes are rejected due to errors in grammar, right? Due to errors in grammar. That's crazy. So when you put your resume in, and whether that's the ATS system that's working its magic, right? Because maybe there's not a person like a Gisela to be able to review these resumes or recruiters. But if there's a grammatical error, your resume is knocked out because of that grammatical error. That's why you have to make sure that there are no grammatical errors. Template not aligned and nor format. It makes no sense. Going back to what I talked about, to make your resume stand out 2.0, you got to make sure that you're using a template builder. You have to use a template builder. Inappropriate email address makes the reader or the hiring manager feel uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you right now, in all my years of doing this, I felt uncomfortable many of times. I don't even I feel uncomfortable reciting it to you guys. Some of them, you would think, again, you don't think anything by it, but you don't know how that's going to offend the reader. So you got to make sure that your email address is appropriate. Words that you don't understand, I talked about that again. I'm repeating it because I see a lot of resumes, and guess what? If I don't understand it, you probably might not understand it, or maybe you might, but I'm confused. So that is a disadvantage for both of us. I feel like you're sitting there, I'm here, and I'm like trying to understand what it is, and now I have to keep asking. If it doesn't make sense, don't put that on your resume, right? Sound it out, make it make sense. Talk to someone about it, ask them. Personal hobbies, great. Swimming and golfing. Chuck loves to golf, but I'm sure if I saw golfing on Chuck's resume, I would be like, why do we need to know that Chuck golfs? I'm confused, right? Listen, these are all talking and conversational points. You're still gonna have to have that when you go on your interview, because they might ask you, maybe, what do you like doing in your spare time? You might be like, listen, I like golfing, I like swimming, I like reading. Not on the resume. Home address not required. Home address not required. Home address is not required. You do not need to put your home address anymore. I still do see that. It's not something that's required. It is a part of the Privacy Act. You do not know where your resume is going to end up. I'll give you a perfect quick example in the essence of time. When I used to do some recruitment abroad, because I used to recruit out of the United States, I would go to, let's say, a coffee shop, and I would have a stack full of resumes, a stack. If I go to that coffee shop with that stack full of resumes, and let's say I might have walked away from my table, I just left someone's resume with their address and phone number, right? So again, you do not need to put your home address on your resume. You can craft that how you want to. If you want to just put your city or your state, that's fine. You don't have to even put that. Because remember, when you go through the system, the ATS system, to put in that information, you're going to be entering your information anyway. So you don't need to have that on your resume, okay? In the chat, has anyone used any type of AI products? Yes or no in the chat? Let's talk about it real quick, guys. AI, because I know that's the secret topic. AI, artificial intelligence. Has anyone used any of those products as it relates to their resume? It's okay to say yes. It's okay to say no. Okay, so we're getting, I have more yeses than no. So I think that, okay. Okay, perfect. So yes, it's okay to use AI products, right? Because there is a platform where there is an AI resume builder. You can use that. It's easy to sign up. You can actually go on Google after this presentation and you can play around with it and see. A lot of individuals do find that to be very beneficial. It does do a lot of corrections on your resume, not just build your resume. I always say that it's subjective to the individual and how comfortable they feel in using that, right? Some people say it's good for vocabulary, a better way to phrase things. Sometimes you're kind of stuck, like, I really don't know how I should word this resume. I'm drawing a blank. You can go to AI. It does give you suggestions on how you should continue to craft that resume to target that specific position. ATS is your resume ready? So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I just wanted to let everyone know what that ATS is, because you hear me see ATS similar to when Shamir in the chat said, what is CRM? So I'm going to define what ATS is. Applicant tracking system. Every organization, or should I say majority of the organizations, have an applicant tracking system. And that is basically what sorts the resumes once received, right? You're uploading it online. The ATS system is what does all the filtering for your resume. Sometimes, yes, there are still individuals that are going through it, but the ATS system filters, let's say, 100 resumes and brings it down to the top 10, if that's what they want to narrow that search down to, okay? Some of these are the ATS systems that I've been familiar with, just so you guys can see it. And you'll see a lot of these when you are applying for jobs. Those that apply for jobs on LinkedIn, those that apply on company websites. I find it interesting that at the bottom, you'll always know what the applicant tracking system is, because it tells you usually, you know, if it's Now Hire, if it's Talent Ed, you know, if it's Hire IQ, if it's Oracle, Taleo, you'll see it. I have to be honest though, some of these applicant tracking systems, and you guys need to let me know in the chat right now, I need this answer. Some of them are a little bit lengthy. Some of them are a little bit confusing. Do you agree? When you're applying online, when you're applying through LinkedIn, when you're applying through these websites, some of these applicant tracking systems, don't be scared. Thank you, Naomi. This is my first one. Some of these are very, very challenging, right? It's like, okay, I thought I was finished, but then it took me to another section. I'm not able to go backwards, right? Thanks, Carlene. Carlene says, I hate ICIMS. Not that she hates it, but yes. It becomes a very challenging production just to apply for a job. If it was up to me and I had my own ATS system, it would be very simplified, very simplified. Once you upload that resume should filter. All of your information should be there. It should not tell you you have too many words. Put it in the chat if you've heard that, where you had to backspace out some of your description because it has too many words, right? Thank you. Yes. So if it was up to me, I would just make one that's just simplified, right? So yes, I started using job application autofill. Trending skills. So these are some of the trending skills that are really popular. I just wanted to kind of give you guys some insight on it, not spend too much time. Take a look at them. If you do have it on your resume, great. If it's something that you're looking to go into, these are definitely some real popular skills. For right now, 2023 going into 2024, everybody's kind of looking at project management, software development, cybersecurity, content creation. A lot of that is really popular right now. Thanks, Jonathan. I like Simplify as well. What do you guys think about a rejection email after you apply with your resume? Has anyone received it? And listen, in the chat right now, don't feel shame, because I'm actually going to put in the chat with you guys. Thank you. Oh, I didn't even have to put it in. So yes, rejection emails after applying with your resume. I just put it in the chat. I'm not a fan. A lot of you guys are saying, yes, you're not a fan. I prefer to receive something. I appreciate it. Sometimes they make me feel, I'm just a number. Like I applied, I was really excited. I sat there, I put my best effort forward. I wish they gave me feedback. I don't want to feel like just a number. I want a live person to actually tell me that I didn't get that position, right? But at least you can move forward, right? Some people say, I'd rather get the rejection email than no response at all, right? How many of you guys have applied to positions with your resume, whether you took Resume Journeys tips or any other tips, you looked at that resume, you were like, listen, I am ready for success. It doesn't matter what they say, I'm ready to go. But you didn't receive anything, right? So it has you in limbo. See, some people say exactly, something is better than silence. Sorry, something's better than silence. I'd rather do 5 rounds of interviews than get nothing. Yasmin, I love that. I'd rather not have an answer, right? Okay, let's go to something real quick. That's the face that I have when I see those rejection emails. Unfortunately, the system has to send out rejection emails, right? And you can craft what they are and say they're, thank you, but no thank you. But really and truly, it's a rejection email. It's not a rejection because I'm rejecting you. I love all of you guys. It's not a rejection email. It's a system generated email that once that position is actually filled, or let's just say they discontinue, they do not want to move forward with the position. Maybe there's a budgetary issue. You're going to get that email. So it can mean a numerous amount of things. It does not mean that your resume was not set up for success. Okay. I just want you guys to think about that for a little bit. Yes, it is when moving so fast. So this is a sorry, no thank you email, and it's titled to Chuck. So Chuck, if you're on the chat, this one's for you. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about this position? I'm sorry.
Thank you. Let me read it.
Yes, Chuck. Should you read it? What do you guys think about this? We appreciate your interest, right? We still encourage you to apply. It's so generic. Tech Headway, it's so generic. Kenardo, it's confusing.
Can I assume this was sent by somebody whose name is Chuck?
Yes.
Because as you may know, I don't apply for jobs anymore. I gave up on that. That's why I love being here tonight. It's exciting. I mean, I remember those days, when you
Right?
had to worry about your resume and your 2-minute elevator pitch and so forth and so on. And by the way, you're brilliant. Thank you, Gisela. What about your video? We're gonna play that?
Probably, maybe not. I definitely have some more context that I want to get, and I see the chat is on fire, so I want to get to a lot more of these slides. But just so you guys know, this is an example of one of the thank you, but no thank you, right? Your background and experience are impressive, but like Kenardo said, but we still didn't move forward to you. Carlene said it's impersonal, right? So I guess Chuck didn't get the position. Let's go to the next one. What about this one? Dear Anita, another sorry, but we're not gonna move forward with you, right? I kind of like the fact that they said, although your resume was closely reviewed, right? Closely reviewed. What does that mean? It was closely reviewed. Does that mean they actually reviewed it? So these are, thank you, Abby. Yes, correct, Sharon. That means we did not review it. A lot of these thank you emails no thank you emails. Georgette said that's like the one I received. I want you guys to pay attention to the wording. The no thank you emails tell you whether that they reviewed your resume or they did not, right? That's something if you go back to and you take a look at, you'll notice that. A lot of people said, Giselle, that was something not brilliant, but the wording, the context of these emails tell you whether that your resume was reviewed or they actually just didn't even have a chance to review it.
Looks like
Chuck,
an
did you
AI
want to say
response.
something?
But Gisela, what I would look at that although second paragraph, I would catch that, copy that, and send it back to them and say, can you provide me with some feedback? Can you tell me how I could have done better or what I was lacking? Don't let them just walk away like that. Even if this is a computer generated response, you still want them to put their feet to the fire. You need to know why you didn't get the job.
I think that's a great outlook when thinking about inquiring But, and some of the things that you guys have said is, I never received clear explanations, Marie says. This makes you feel like I'm not good enough. They always say sometimes that you shouldn't reply to those emails. Well, guess what? If it's auto-generated and you do reply, you might think that it's going to a person, but it's not because it's auto-sent. It's auto-sent. So it's a system that's sending it. So when you respond, it's a 50-50 chance that it might either go to the specific recruiter, one, or it might just actually go system generated. If you sent it to me, Gisela, and I'm the actual person, the actual leader that's sending you that, unfortunately, we did find the candidate that matches this role. Not everybody's going to be able to give feedback like I do. I've given feedback to individuals that send me resumes, even for a grammatical error. If they did not get that position or they are in consideration to be interviewed for it, I have took it a step further where I've emailed that candidate and I've told them the corrections that they might need to make on their resume. But you're not gonna find a Gisela that's gonna do that. But in Chuck's point, you could take it a step further and you can do that. Remember this, when you create your resume and you submit it, you have nothing to lose. I want you guys to, all of you guys on this chat, all of you guys on this presentation, you have nothing to lose. So go for it. Take the chance. You're right, Georgia. Talent acquisition team makes it impersonal. And Yasmin said it's a great idea. Sometimes people are feared that they might be blacklisted. I mean, it's subjective. And I think that, it depends on what you're comfortable with, right? This is a big question. I think someone had asked me this earlier. So I'm glad that I'm just touching upon this real quick. How to pivot from your career path on your resume. I get that all the time. And I have pivoted myself, from one organization to the other. I started with one organization, two different fields. It was left field. When I left one for many, many years and went to the other, I was like, wait a second, what am I doing? But I wanted to pivot. I wanted that experience. I wanted to change. How do you do it? First thing is, I'm going to just relate to what Chuck always says on every presentation, research that job description. It's like beating a dead horse, like research the job description. You have to know if this is a job for you. If this is not the job for you, and it's probably I'm not sure, then it's not. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. If it is, and you feel like you can do everything that is listed and everything that is required, then I want you to take a look at your transferable skills, and I want you to create a powerful introductory statement, and that can be in your cover letter or that can be in the resume that you're crafted. I'm a big poster kid for transferable skills, and the reason why I am is because I've hired over 800 people, 800 individuals, and that's just in the organization I'm in now, where I've hired over 800 individuals that do have transferable skills. And when I talk to them about it and I meet them later on down the line, they're like, nobody would have even thought about giving me that opportunity. And I wouldn't have thought about that, right? Transferable skills are not skills necessarily that you acquired on a job, right? You can have went to a training. It can be a past or a personal experience that you have. It could be a craft, something that you just learned, and now you're a wizard at that, right? Maybe volunteer work that you've done. These are all transferable skills. So just keep that in mind when you want to pivot. If you're going to pivot, you have to take away the current skills. Correction, you're not going to take it away. You're going to add the transferable skills to what you already have. It's basically what I consider to be an enhancement, right? It's skills that you might have never thought could be utilized in the position that you're going to acquire, right? Is the look more important than the content? What do you guys think? Is the look of your resume, is that more important than what's on the resume? When you talk about that, you want to make sure that you're not leaving out, thank you for answering in the chat, Georgette, Shamir, do not leave out any pertinent information. Pay attention to what you would like the interviewer to know about you. right? Certain individuals, when I look at resumes, it might be something that they don't want to talk about. It might be a position that maybe didn't work out too well. You might not want to list that, right? You might want to pick something else. If it's not something you want them to be aware of, you want to make sure you don't list it on your resume, and you have to proofread your resume. You can't just take the word of, okay, I did it, it's fine. Maybe I didn't use AI Builder, maybe I didn't use Career Builder, maybe I didn't use Resume Journeys, which I hope you didn't say you didn't use Resume Journeys, but you want to make sure you proofread your resume. Ask individuals to double check, okay? No, I mean, I agree with that too. I agree. Those skills are specific skills. When we talked about the skills that you have, just to touch upon that for a half a second, there's also skills such as communication skills. There's skills such as conflict resolution, right? Computer skills, depending on different systems that you have, right? There's so many other skills that you can add. That you want to just make sure that you don't leave out any of the skills that you have acquired. Content influences the conversation. Quality over quantity. I always tell my team that. I tell my team that on a consistent basis. It's always about the quality. The quality is more important, okay? We're doing really good on time, and I want to make sure I get at least a good 15 minutes to answer a lot of these questions. How to prepare for your virtual interview. Dress for success. Chuck could come off of mute. Dress business professional. Even on that virtual interview, dress for success. Not a regular shirt, but a tie. Chuck, what's your opinion on that?
Well, you would want to dress like, don't let that what you wear take you down. It should always pick you up. You should have something on that you feel comfortable with, but that is acceptable for this opportunity. Keep in mind, once again, you've already said it, Gisela, several times around, they're choosing you among other people. Why give them a reason not to want you? You can't walk in there with your Nike T-shirt on and expect the recruiting person to feel as though you're equal or better than somebody that has a suit and shirt on. That's for the gentleman, of course. Um, don't give them an opportunity to say no to you. That's what I can say. Be neat.
Well, you guys heard that, right? Dress business professional. Don't give them that opportunity. You got to go hard or go home. That's how I
Exactly.
look at it. That's my slogan. I know that's, Survivor, but you got to go hard or go home. In addition to your resume, the dressing, how you dress professional, definitely curtails who you are, right? Same thing as your verbal communication skills, words that you say. You want to make sure that your communication skills are on point when you're speaking to the recruiters. Nonverbal communication, I always say, is not what you say, is how you say it. I always say that all the time. And it could be misconstrued in so many different ways. You have to make sure that you're mindful of your voice and your tone, right? Body language, unaware of clues. So through this presentation, there was a lot of things that I did. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it, but I did it on purpose because it was body language that I don't want you guys to necessarily use, right? So there was one that I did. I don't know if you guys caught that I was just like this, right? You want to make sure that your body language, as it speaks for you, that you are aware of that. And something that I said probably about 6 times, research the company, research the company, research the job description, give eye contact to the individual that you're speaking to, check your background and audio, make sure you don't have a lot going on in the background. As you can see, my background is plain. I have been on many virtual interviews, many, and there's a lot going on in the background. You cannot have that. You can't have, um, a lot of confusion in the background. Arrive 10 minutes prior to your virtual or in-person interview. The virtual interview should be treated just like an in-person interview. So if you were to arrive early for your in-person, guess what? The virtual interview, you want to make sure that you're arriving early as well. And make sure you turn off your cell phone. Sometimes I know that we're attached to it. It's a device that we can't put down. We're kind of glued to it. But you have to make sure that you're setting that precedence that you don't want it to ring, the vibrate can be heard. Again, just be mindful of that. And then as we come to the end, just a couple of reminders, 8 minutes with each recruiter during your career fair tomorrow, just plugging that in, right? Virtual career fair tomorrow, November 16th from 11 a.m. to 3, okay? You wanna make sure that allotted time that you have for that interview, that you're gonna knock it out the park, right? Treat it just like if you're in an elevator and the CEO of that company or organization walked in, and let's say you don't have that many floors. Let's say you only have 5 floors. The door closes. You just realized as a CEO, what are you gonna say? You're probably gonna be like, can you press that button for me? That might be the first thing you say. I'm not sure, Chuck. Can you press the button for me? So you guys can go up instead of just standing there. But just keep that in mind, right? Remember, if you utilize a cover letter, why should we hire you for this position, right? That's what that cover letter is for. A lot of you guys always say, Giselle, should I put a cover letter in? Should I not put a cover letter in? It's your preference, whatever you would like. Some recruiters and hiring managers toss the cover letter. They don't look at it. All they care about is the resume. Some prefer it. And some applicant tracking systems, it tells you that you have to submit the cover letter. Thank you email should be sent within 24 hours. So if I went on an interview today, this morning, I wouldn't wait until Friday to send that thank you email. Job statuses, email are okay. So if you have that virtual contact card with the individual, I want to make sure that you are, friendly, inquiring, maybe after a week if you didn't hear anything. And it doesn't have to be so direct or passive aggressive. It's okay. You can also apply for jobs, usually early in the morning or when it's first posted. I find that to be very successful for a lot of individuals when applying. A friend of mine always used to say, Gisela, I apply for jobs when nobody does. And she always used to get a response, and usually used to be about very late at night, right? Not saying that's what you have to do, but that was also an idea. Social media cleanup, and yes, leaders, recruiters, everyone looks at social media. We do. Not me. I say we do. They look at your Instagram, they look at your Twitter, they look at your Facebook, they look at your TikTok, they look at your LinkedIn. Why are they looking at it? I'm not too sure, but you want to make sure that if it's something you don't want them to see, you either change your privacy settings or you just remove it for that time being. And then just remember the STAR interview method for those of you that, don't know what the STAR interview method is. It stands for situation, task, the action that you took, and what was the end result. That is the STAR interview method. So just keep that in mind. And Chuck, I think I went through that whole slide in record time.
Thank you. Excellent job. I want to say right now, I thank you for what you did again tonight. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, she has done this religiously for us, um, well before the pandemic, well before the 15 premium virtual career fair that we've held so far. I remember meeting Gisela over at Fordham University back in the day, where she's telling people about career opportunities and best way to get to them. She knows what she's talking about. Gisela, you should put some of your job postings out, let them apply for them too. You never know for it's worth. Let me just add, just to reinforce what you said, not that it's really necessary, but one thing that always comes to mind to me when I was in charge of hiring was people's willingness to relocate. I think that's still a key element in all of this. If you guys can put somewhere on your resume open to relocation, that might make a world difference for you, believe it or not. Because sometimes they have those jobs in Charlotte or in Atlanta. Don't be afraid to take the opportunity and move on. You won't lose family and friends. In fact, everybody asks you be coming by your home on weekends when you move to Atlanta or go to Miami. Plus, you can move someplace where the cost of living is a lot better than it is now. Is that right, Boo? Boo jumped in the conversation. Excuse him. Um, I just think you should have fun tomorrow. Come join us. As Gisela mentioned, come early if you can. We let the lights come on at 11 a.m., but the recruiters are there usually by 10:30 and setting things up. So as soon as 11 o'clock clicks in, you can jump in and get on the list. And also, I suggest go to as many recruiting locations as you can. Um, don't just point to Estee Lauder and say, that's the only place I want to go to. We talked about transferable skills, perfect opportunity to talk about if you can do something for one financial institution, you could do it for all of them. They all have the same type of jobs and the skill sets they require. I wish all of you guys the best tomorrow. Thank you again, Gisela and Marvin. Everybody else is here. I saw Georgette, my friend. I saw my granddaughter on you. See Ava in there? Gisela? He's not moving. I saw my
Sorry, I
granddaughter
was on mute.
there too. Why can't
Yes,
we just send a link to all the people that came tonight? Maybe Marvin could do that with your video on it. How's
I think
that?
that would be I think that would be great. Marvin, let me know. I think we still have, I don't know if we still have some time, at least another 5 minutes, or I'm just looking at the time frame here.
Yeah, you only have a couple minutes.
Is you have
But no, if you have more to
still
offer,
have
are you
something?
looking at questions?
Yes, I scrolled back and it was some that I just wanted to just address really
Go for it.
quickly. Thank you. Thank you guys. And yes, to Chuck's point, to borrow premium virtual career fair, just to name a few, you guys have UBS, Morgan Stanley, Estee Lauder, don't just pick one, broaden your scope, right? Broaden your scope. It's okay. Again, you have nothing to lose, right? And that's just in general. So Noemi, I hope I answered that when you talked about, how do you pivot? Remember, when you talk about pivot, think about transferable skills. Okay, that's usually my correlation. Dion, if you're still on, does that executive summary work? Absolutely, 100%. That's your lead-in statement. That is your lead-in. If you had no lead-in statement or no objective and you just went straight to the experience, it's like, okay, we know that this person can do this, but that summary definitely is so impactful.
Yep.
It definitely is impactful. It's like I said, it's almost like a salesman trying to sell you a car. Just the opposite, because they make you feel a little uncomfortable sometimes. They're a little pushy. Um, Somebody asked me, some recruiters have told me that I have to shorten my resume. Remember what I said. Do not let anyone tell you that your resume has to be a specific number of pages, because what's going to happen is you're going to cram everything into one page because somebody told you that. Okay. And then that's what's going to not make you go forward or make your resume look presentable, because you're cramming that information and taking away, some of that info. Definitely want to give a shout out to LinkedIn watchers. LinkedIn, guess what? I'm on LinkedIn. Some of you I've already, accepted and befriended. LinkedIn, Gisela Belinfante. You will see me. You'll see my all my history. Definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn, and shout out to LinkedIn watchers. Somebody asked me, Yasmin, how do employees feel about contract and self-employment experience? As long as you are describing everything that you did as a contract or self-employment, you're good to go. I have hired individuals that have been self-employed. So you are fine. It's really just how you put it together. But don't let that deter you. Hopefully I captured some of these questions that I just wanted to make sure that I,
You
went
did a good
back on.
job of that.
Jonathan, and one more, which is Jonathan. For bullet points, do you advise leading with the results or the action that you took. I would lead in with the action, and kind of leave and curtail the results in the middle towards the end. Hopefully that helps out a little bit. Do you have to do an interview with the companies we applied for jobs only? Chuck, that's a question for you.
No, I was going to say no. What I'd like you to do, though, make sure you go to the lines of the companies that you are interested in first. All right. And then the follow up is, as Gisela mentioned, go to as many as you possibly can. You'd be surprised, they may not even have a posting for a job, but they like your skill set. They like the fact that you are a veteran, for example, or you have some sort of background that fits a need that they're thinking about applying, opening sometime in the spring. Um, but make sure you take their names, their email addresses, so that if by chance you do get a rejection letter, you do want to be able to follow up with that. The goal tomorrow is your second interview. I want you all to get a second interview. That way, you know you've gotten past the first hurdle. Simple as that.
And Ms. Jones, the answer is yes. Chuck, I think they just asked, will the companies be shared with them? The answer is yes. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. You'll see all the companies that are there. They also have all their listings up there as well. So read through those while you're waiting for your interview. You may see another job in there that you weren't even thinking about. Said, oh, I like that one too. Bring that up in the conversation. I saw a job XYZ, and this is why I feel as though I'm qualified for that position. That's all part of your two-minute elevator pitch.
And then lastly, as we come to a close, because you guys were phenomenal and you guys have more questions, if you guys are on Instagram, I encourage you guys, it's 7:14 right now. I encourage you guys to join me on Instagram Live, something that I've kind of adapted doing because we just don't have enough time. Join me on Instagram Live right after this. Definitely, we can have more of a conversation in regards to any questions you have. My job is to make sure that you're ready for tomorrow.
Right.
And whether you're doing the career session tomorrow or it's another opportunity that you're looking for, let me help you get ready for that. Okay, so Instagram Live Resume Journeys on IG. I should be on shortly. And thank you to the National Black MBA for allowing me to be able to do this presentation again for the, I don't know, 11th time almost. And I look forward
29th
to.
Time.
Okay, 29.
Thank you, Isabella.
Thank you, guys.
You have one more
All right.
last question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
And
last question.
Person has his hand raised.
I can. Hello. My name is TK. I go by TK. I wasn't sure if you had answered this question, but I was wondering how be able to access the recording after the meet event is over.
I didn't quite catch that last part.
Yes, you
Where
will.
can he access the recording? Marvin and Chuck?
We're going to
Yes.
share that with everyone that registered for the event. Yes.
Right.
We'll have
Thank
that
you.
tomorrow. Yes.
And his Zella's video.
And I'll be on Instagram shortly. Well, thank you.
You get some rest, my dear. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good luck tomorrow.